Hello guys, in today's episode of Real Talk in My Rooms, I had the pleasure to sit down with my friend Cait, founder of Cait's Crew, and we dive deep into starting a business, overcoming hardships, and the importance of taking care of your mental health. In this interview, Cait talks about her own journey as an entrepreneur and how she navigated the challenges that came her way in life and business. We discuss the highs, the lows, and everything in between. Cait also shares her ways of maintaining a healthy mindset while juggling a busy business, offering valuable tips that you won't want to miss. So grab your favorite cup of coffee, or if it's after 5 o'clock, grab your favorite beverage and get ready to be inspired. This interview will empower you on your entrepreneur journey and remind you to prioritize your mental well-being. Welcome back. Today I have a very, very special guest, my beautiful, hardworking fellow Cancer friend, Cait.
Hello.
Cait, explain to everybody what you do, who you are.
I first started off working with kids with special needs. That's like what my main job is. I help run that business. And then I became a professor.
Professor Cait.
When I was, I think 27, I think. I got my master's a few years ago, and I've always wanted to do it. Obviously, my passion has changed since I started my own business, but like it's just, well, now I can go into the whole business part of it. Last year, in 2022, I started Cait's Crew, and it just blew up more than I could have ever imagined. Had somebody told me that I would have a successful business like even a year ago, I would have been like, what are you talking about? Like Vanessa told me I would start my own business, and I was like, I don't want to do that. And now,
and who's Vanessa? Tell everybody.
Vanessa is my boss of my full-time job. She's helped me a lot through a lot of like awful things that have happened to me, and like been there through all the great stuff too. So always supported me. So she said this to me like 3 or 4 years ago, and I've known her for like almost 6 years, and I remember being like, I don't want to do that. Like I see what you deal with because she owns her own business. But now it's like we were just talking about, I can't imagine working for somebody else.
Now that you've been doing your thing. But tell everybody, so what is Cait's Crew? How did Cait's Crew get started? Where did you get the idea from?
So I've always been in the serving, like bartending industry. I've been in restaurants since I was 19. Applebee's.
Shout out to Applebee's.
Yeah, for real. Any of my Applebee's listening right now.
Funny story real quick. Cait and I both worked at Applebee's, but we just missed each other. I think Cait started like a month or two after I had left. And we only realized this because we knew the same people. And I'm like, wait a second, when did you work there? So we just missed each other. But it was like we were destined to be friends.
Yeah, it's so weird how things work out. So I've been in the industry, and then I worked for other companies, and then I like ended up just meeting the right people. I did like one event, and then Kayla and Rachel asked me to do more events, and then it just ended up then I got connected with Tara, who refers me to every one of her friends. I just have built the relationships, I would say, and then it's just continued on and on and on and on. I think that's what's most important about business, is building the relationships.
Making connections, building genuine relationships.
Genuine, not bullshit. Genuine.
Bullshit, as in, hey, you helped me, and that's about it.
Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah. I think that's where I think both of us stand apart from it. I'm not, I don't know everybody and how they handle their business, but people can tell whether you're genuine or not. And of course I want to make money. I want to not worry. I want to pay off my student loans, all that other stuff. But I genuinely care about the people in their event and how it goes.
Yeah.
I want them to have the best time. I want them to feel like they don't have to do a thing.
And from personally working with you, that's what you do provide. And everybody raves about you afterwards. How happy they are that they're able to enjoy their event and not have to worry about everything.
You can see my face. I'm not good at compliments.
No, she's not. The next one's going to be recorded so you guys can see her face. But all seriousness though, every event that I've personally worked with Cait on, everybody is just so appreciative and thankful because they can actually enjoy the event. It's a lot of work and time put into planning an event, so you want to be there and you want to enjoy it, and that's where Cait comes in. So what are some things that you offer, and where are you servicing right now?
Serving, bartending, childcare, so we watch your kids while you have fun. Bridal assistant, so like taking care of the morning of, like, so you don't have to worry about anything.
Which is huge. Hair
braiding, wine tasting. The good part about my name is I can really, really put anything in there. Activities for kids. It's growing. There are a lot of things I want to be a part of that, it just takes time. It's my first full year of being in business, and I'm so appreciative of how much it's grown so far, but I just want to see like where it'll be next year, like what we'll offer. But the good part about my name is anything event-wise I could kind of do.
Right, it's like the possibilities.
And I didn't even think when I thought about that, it was just catchy.
It's super catchy.
But it ends up being catchy, and then people are like, people ask you, oh, are you, like, it ends up being in people's minds.
It's more personal too, because I feel like
they end up talking to me. It's not just some random person.
Right. And something else that I do really value and respect about you is that you hire people and you ensure that you're just hiring the best. Like, you can trust that your staff is going to do an amazing job. I've seen reviews from people saying like, thank you so much, so-and-so was great, this person was great, everything was seamless. Would you say finding quality people to work for you is challenging, or?
It's not challenging because I have worked a lot of places and I only hire people I know how their work ethic is. I'm surrounded by great people. I guess it can be challenging because in some way I'm a little picky. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you should be. It's your name. Because I have such great people with me, they have then referred me to great people. So it's been better to find it that way. I refuse to a lot of, I wouldn't say, I don't know how other businesses handle it, but some people, we're going into people's homes. We're around their kids. We're serving people drinks. Like, this is not something that should be taken lightly. And it needs to be somebody that I wholeheartedly trust and have worked with, or that's someone I know and that I've spoken to at length.
And that makes things so much better too, as the person on the other end, like knowing, okay, I can hire you and everything's gonna be okay. Like, I don't have to worry about something going missing, right, someone not showing up, just all the things that could happen. You have a solid group of people with you right now.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just like, it would worry me if I just sent somebody.
Which I feel like is also great too, and that just shows what kind of person you are, because honestly, finding good quality people right now to work is a struggle from what I hear. Like, a lot of people can't find somebody who's going to be reliable, or someone wants to get paid a ridiculous amount of money for doing something. It's just...
Yeah, I work in HR for when I work with the kids as well, so I help Vanessa with HR as well, and it's just like some of the things that people expect to be paid, you're like, huh?
So when you first started, what was your biggest struggle? Like, the first 6 months, what did you feel like was the hardest part of starting your own business?
I don't want to say everything, but when you're learning and building it from the ground up, it's just you run into issues, and then that's how you learn, you know what I mean? Things that you don't think are going to pop up. I guess worrying about pleasing everybody, that comes in too, I think, when you first start. Worrying about whether your pricing is right, wanting people to approve of you. And of course I want everybody to love the services I provide, but I think I've gotten a little bit more confident in myself to the point where it's okay, well, if that's okay, if you don't want to hire us, that I can refer you to somebody else, that's all right. And I think last year me was I wanted approval, and now I know I'm capable, and I've proven to myself that I'm capable. We don't own all of New Jersey. You know what I mean? Right. I'll gladly give business to somebody else. Right. We're especially a woman-owned business. I would support anybody.
Absolutely. It's a blue ocean, right? There's enough work out there for everyone. Realistically.
Plenty of people that need servers, plenty of people that need photographers, many people that need balloons. Like,
I mean, there was one weekend where you were booked to the max and still getting people asking for you, and you had to refer them out. So now my next question, is it hard to find people to work with? So other vendors, do you feel like it's hard to find, or do you feel like that's where the networking and the connections come in, where you feel like you had a pretty solid, I know.
I mean, I have a very solid network.
Would you say that might be a struggle for someone who's just starting off?
Oh, for sure. I say all the time, and Chloe yells at me, like, I'm so lucky. And she's like, but you've worked really hard to get here. You have. Like, you have to, like, tell yourself that. I was like, and I have. I can't even, like, begin to express how thankful I am for, like, the whole network I have. And I know it's, we've all really connected and like gotten close, and we met because of events, but now it's where we have actual real relationships. But I wouldn't have, coming from what I came out of, I never thought that like I'd be doing a podcast explaining my business, like, you know what I mean? So like, right. I know I've worked really hard to get here, but I also know how lucky I am that I am here.
So with what you went through, I would say mental health mindset plays a huge role in owning a company. And
I think keeping on yourself about that too. Like, even when you're overwhelmed, like you got to make sure that your mental health is in check, because you're the leader. You're the one that is like making everything go. Then you need to make sure that you're on top of it and you're okay, because you don't want to snap at your staff for no reason, or I've had people treat me like absolute shit, and you will never hear me. Like, even if I think I speak to someone a certain way, I'm like, I'm sorry if that came off the wrong way. Like, I've been treated like absolute crap by bosses, people in my life. Like, I would never want that for somebody else. So I think also that's maybe the difference too, is I was always taught that you treat people how you want to be treated, so. And
I do notice too, like, even with like when after a huge weekend of events that you had, you're always like, I'm so grateful for my staff. It's because of my staff. Like,
they're the thing that's making the dream go. They're the best, for real. I don't know, like like, yes, I could but I wouldn't be able to do all of this without them.
Yeah. But, I mean, again, it all started with you. If you didn't start this, there wouldn't be a Cait Crew to have this business. So it's like everybody does.
And I think it's important from a like boss standpoint too, is like when people respect you and care for you, then they work hard for you.
Oh my God, for sure. They want to see you.
That's why I have the people that I've built relationships with them. I don't, I can't say I've always felt that way about a boss. I've had terrible bosses. Up until Vanessa, I was like, oh my God, that's why I'm like, kid. That's it. That's
why it's like I can't go back to working for somebody, because you just don't know what you're gonna get.
I had before I went to her, I had I just had a rough time. Even restaurants, I'm sure anybody that's worked in restaurants, you worked in restaurants, you're a number. Mm-hmm. They don't care. I was one of my bartenders had to cancel a few weeks ago, and she had a sore throat. Like, I was like, okay, and then I ended up covering it. And I just remember going into work and then being like, oh, I have a sore throat, like I don't feel good. And they're like, all right, well, did you get your shift covered? And you're like, no. They're like, all right, well, I guess you have to come in. And you needed the money so bad that you just went.
And you were just afraid you didn't want to lose your job.
Right. I was like, I said that to one of the guys I was working with the other day. I was like, she canceled. And in my head, I was like, I'm a hypocrite if I make her work right now. 1,000% a hypocrite, and I covered it.
Right.
Because I was like, you're not going to get, like, thank you for, she told me very early, it's not like
You were able to find coverage.
Yeah, I was able to find coverage, but, like, I'm not going to make you, like, then you get my clients sick.
Right, and that's something you don't want, that's something I never understood. And, like, it's one thing, yes, if someone, just doesn't want to work and they're saying that, like, that's on them. Yeah. But, like, if you're sick, why would you want to have...
it's, like, so crazy to me now. Especially after COVID. It's so weird. It's, like, crazy.
Did you find coverage? No.
No. Okay, I guess you're coming in to serve food.
Infect everybody here.
But, yeah, it's just, like, crazy to think now. And that was, like, a chance. I felt like in my head, like, this is a chance for me to, like, redo what was done to me. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And plenty of restaurant workers, we all know. it definitely like makes you a better person working in those type of situations.
Environments, for sure. You learn a lot.
Oh my God, yeah. And you learn how about humans and how they just complain about anything possible. Yeah, it's just like you realize what's important to people.
It builds tough skin for sure.
Yeah.
And honestly, I didn't go to college. I ended up working throughout my 20s. But I am happy I did, because I feel like I've done a lot, met a lot of people, learned a lot, and it does take you. It's like when you have to be in these situations to learn.
Yeah.
You know, like you'll never have customer service. Imagine not working with people and going in and opening a business.
Worked in customer, you can tell. Yes, well, I stick up for myself and my staff, of course, but there are some times where you just gotta be like, all right, like you gotta bite your tongue.
Yeah, it's not
like it's obviously not you. It's who they are.
Right, and usually at the end of it, they're like, "Oh my God, thank you,
much.
This was amazing," and the tune changes. But sometimes some people just don't know how to talk to other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the mental health aspect of everything. So you did I know personally, again, because I know you've been through a lot. When you said a year ago you would have never thought that you would have been where you are.
Yeah, I mean, I guess even more 2 years ago.
2 years ago at this point, yeah. Because here's the thing. Social media, life, everything seems great, amazing, but it's a fucking struggle. It's a struggle, and when you've gone through certain things in life, these things just pop up randomly, and you could be having the best day of your life, and then all of a sudden, something can remind you, trigger you, and then all of a sudden your mood changes, but you still need to show up at that event, at that party, wherever you're at, and be 100%, and you could be dying inside.
Yeah. There's so many times where I've just had a bad day or bad night the night before, and I'm just like, all right, figure it out, and you just put on a smile and go. So I guess I'll start with, November of 2021, I left an abusive relationship situation, and moved back in with my mom. And I think I was already serving at that point. I don't know what, to be honest with you think you'll remember everything, and when you really think about it, I don't remember what I did for the first 2 months after, because you're just living in survival mode. And then around maybe April or May of 2022 is when I decided to get this started. The relationship was 3 years long. I didn't think I'd make it out of it. I'm gonna be honest with you. And I've told you this before, even when I've, been tagged by, celebrities and housewives or something. There's been times where I've talked to you about this, where I'm it's weird to me that I felt I wouldn't make it out of it, and now, and it's an appreciation thing, but it's also is this real?
Right. It's very okay.
I didn't think
2 years ago, I didn't think I was going to be alive, and here I am now working for some really big name people and just continuously growing and
when somebody tells you, I mean, anybody that's been in an abusive relationship knows this. When somebody tells you that, you're stupid all the time and, you're damaged goods or, all of these awful things to you, constantly, you start to believe that.
Your brain it programs, okay, I am. And, you're defeated.
Yeah.
You're just completely
defeated. And I lived
defeated.
with this pit in my stomach for so long, and I didn't realize that until, obviously I get anxiety now, but it's, was constant all the time. And I think now, I really believed that. I really believed I was stupid and I was incapable of doing things. And now, it is a little bit
look at me now, bitch.
It does feel a little bit good, but that, I don't wish bad on anybody, even though awful things have been done to me, but,
Karma's bitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Karma will take care of it.
Yeah, be worse than I will ever be. And that's the hard part too. Even if I when people have bad thoughts, you're oh, I'm mad at that person. Right away, I'm nope, don't think like that. I already correct myself, and it's I don't even let myself have I don't want to wish any bad on somebody, no matter what the situation is. Just not how I am. And it's, I mean, when someone tells you you're dumb constantly and you built a successful business that people want to be around you, It is proof that obviously he was wrong, but...
And it's such a great feeling.
Yeah. It is. And I don't know if anybody's listening that's been through trauma. It's this, like, you're so happy, but you're also, like, afraid.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, this could be taken away from me at any moment.
Second, yeah.
And I think it's hard, like, because I think that's the trauma.
For sure. Absolutely.
Because it's hard for you to just sit in it and be like, this is amazing. Like, look at what I did.
And it's hard to get out, too. Like, when I was in high school, I was also in an abusive relationship. And when they are abusive physically, it's also mentally, like you were saying. And then it's the point where they'll beat the shit out of you.
My opinion.
But then they'll mess with your brain and be like, I'm so sorry. Well, first it's your fault, of course. Yeah. While they're doing it, it's your fault. But then afterwards, it's like, please, like they play this like pity card. Oh, yeah. And if, as I said in the beginning, we're both cancers, so we.
Now I'm not like that, but like you could have fooled me at any point. I'm like was so willing to help anybody.
You always just want So it was even harder too. And when you're younger, it's hard. But with all this being said, if there is someone right now in an abusive relationship that's like, they feel defeated, they're listening to this, what is something that you would say to them right now? They said, Cait, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get out. I don't know if I want to leave. I'm not good enough.
I have resources if you need to get out.
And where
out.
Where can they find you?
I work with a charity that helps victims leave their abusers, and then we try and find hotels. The Safe House Circle. There's so many things that are wrong, obviously, in this country. We can say with a lot, especially with more people than not have been abused than you realize. For sure,
and not many people talk about it.
Nobody, people are uncomfortable.
So now back to that actually, real quick. When you got out, weren't you afraid too? For like you didn't want anything to happen to you, like trickle down effect from that. So I think that's why a lot of people also stay, right?
Yeah. When you first leave is the most dangerous it is. I had a different mentality. I made a different choice. I did not go to the police. It's obviously anybody's choice of what they think is appropriate. I won't give anybody that advice because it doesn't. It depends on who you are.
It's situational.
So when people say, oh, well, it wasn't reported, a lot of people don't report. Or like, oh, well, why didn't you go to the police? Sometimes just not the right situation for you. So that's just more like kind of shutting down the people that like are so quick to make a comment, or I wouldn't have let somebody do that to me.
But they don't understand either. Right. Like they might not have had a knife pulled out on them,
right.
Or like, you know what I mean? If they know where you live, you fear for your family.
All the education in the world. I have a psychology degree.
Yeah.
And I still was in that. And I told my students, because I was like, you got to stop judging people like you're no better than anybody because you have no idea what somebody is going through. Like, I taught you all semester and I just left an abusive relationship. Like, and because if I'm going to do anything, it's going to teach somebody I got to do something. Some good needs to come out of it. Obviously, a lot of good has come after, but it just, I don't know, I feel like we went on a tangent. I would say, like, once you get out, and I mean, obviously safely, it gets better. It feels like it's not going to. Some days you wake up and you're like, oh my God, I don't even want to get out of bed. But it gets better.
What would you say, what are some of like, maybe 2-3 things that were like key for you in not just like getting out, but staying out and moving on with your life?
My friends I wouldn't be anywhere.
So having like a good support system.
Yeah. My dog, who I adopted like a month after I left, like literally the biggest lifesaver ever. Like I think because, you want to just lay in bed and you want to feel sorry. You want to feel sorry for yourself. You do. And it's not, there are times where you're like, oh God, like why did this happen to me? But you can't stay there. And like Sadie made me get up. I need someone where it was someone was relying on me, and that's what kept me going.
You had to walk her, you had to feed her, you had to keep her, in order for her to be alive, you had to get out of bed.
And that made me then fight harder. And then obviously like like I said, my friends. And then once I started the business, that gave me a little bit more like, all right, like, you're okay. Like you're out, you know, like you're out.
You're safe.
You're safe. You're fine. Nothing he said is true. Like, stop. And there are times, you know, I have flashbacks and all that other stuff.
Do you have, so when you have these flashbacks, do you have any tips on like what could you do to get out of that? Or do you feel like it's best to just like let yourself, not best, but
I mean like breathing techniques obviously, and like cold to your chest with an ice pack or something like that get you out of it. For me, I journal a lot. I'll like write what I'm grateful for. I do that, like try and do that every single morning. Obviously it doesn't happen every single morning. But I just try and remind myself like it's not now. And I think it's really hard in the moment to not like you're like, why am I having these, you know, like why am I dealing with this? Or even days like I'm sure you like feel this way, you're like where you're just not in a good headspace and you're like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do anything, but like I have this and I have this and I have this and you know, and you're like there was one week where, and I'm so thankful I had all these inquiries. Like I'm so thankful, but I was just like having such a bad day that even like picking up the phone to text somebody right now is like hard for me.
It was a struggle.
Like, and it's completely true. Like you have no idea. Like yes, I pop up. Like I'm always. I know I have an RBF, but I always like pop around. Like I try and be, you know, as positive as possible. So when I'm feeling like that, I don't really want to be around anybody, which doesn't really help me. But I think it's just like out of, you know, I don't want to put it on anybody or, you know, all that other, like you're a burden type of thing. So I could give anybody advice, but I have to follow it too. It's hard sometimes. I try and be as honest as possible. I mean, I tell you, I'm like, I'm not coming. I'm not. I'm
I think
great.
it's okay though too to even like. It's just like realizing that too, and I feel like if you have a good support system,
very self-aware, I will say that.
Good friends are like, no, I get it. Like it's fine if you can't hang out today because you have a lot of work or you have, it's something like you need a mental health. Like you just want to stay in.
Or like you just can't be, you know. Sometimes you're just like, I just don't want to be around anybody.
And that's okay. And I think that like a lot of times we're just so quick to be like, oh, I don't want to disappoint this person, and then you end up disappointing. Like not even just that person but yourself because you're showing up there with that energy, and when you're in that place you could so now they're picking up your energy and then you're just upset because you're like, why did I could have just stayed home, worked myself out of this and then showed up as the best possible version of me for them the next time.
I know. I think also like obviously not now as we're adults, but I think probably when, I don't know if you dealt with this when you were younger, like friends would be mad if you canceled plans. Now I think like everybody's just like, I get it.
I understand. Well, yes and no. There are some people who don't get it, but there are some people who do. And the ones that don't, what I would say is, you know, I'm sorry that you're upset with me, but right now I need this for me. And if you can't understand, then I'm sorry, that's on you. I need to do this for me. And I think that like after COVID, a lot of people have realized, okay, I got to start setting boundaries and I have to start doing more like what makes me happy. Yeah. Because if you're also just trying to please everybody else, you're also just like, it's just draining and it's miserable and you're not even.
I had so many stomach issues, like, and so many things like constantly when I was just obviously in the relationship, but just even before that, like even before I was with the, like just wanting to please people all the time. And it's just like... Would
you say after you went through all of this is what got you out of that? Or is there something that you did in particular to help you get out of that mindset? Do you still feel yourself?
I feel it sometimes.
And you have to stop yourself? Like, what do you...
Yeah, I do feel it sometimes. I think this helped me. Like, getting out of it helped me because I'm like, damn, if I could do this, like, I could really do anything.
Is there something you did like to like help yourself work on that? Did you have to start saying more no? Like what would you say? Like what's something a good piece of advice? If something doesn't
make me feel good, and not in like a nerd, you know what I mean? Like, ooh, this doesn't make, like my gut tells me no. I follow it. Yeah. Because the way I got into these situations was not following my gut.
So before you these certain things that were happening, you're like, I have a feeling.
When you think about it, you're like, I have so much anxiety. Why, if this was right, why do I have constant anxiety? Constant.
Yeah.
Pit in my stomach. Always. My chest was so tight. I was on medication I didn't need to be on because I thought I was like crazy.
You thought it was you?
Yeah. I thought I was crazy. And then I think back now and it's like, there are random times where it's like, I believed this stuff. And then I look back, I'm like, if I was this way, all these people wouldn't want to support me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
And I try and like tell myself that, but it's not easy to not be like just to turn off the people pleasing thing. But I will say, because you own accountability in every situation, you do, regardless of whether you were abused or, this was never my fault, ever. But the first time something was done and I didn't leave, I said it was okay. Like, I'm a survivor. I don't think abuse is anyone's fault ever. But to change anything, you have to take accountability.
Absolutely.
So you can't be like, I just didn't. No, I probably had a feeling that, this wasn't right, but I decided to keep going with it. And because I was such a people pleaser and I didn't want to upset him.
And you weren't in a good mental space yourself.
No, I was already
point.
like, I had a lot of things I hadn't healed from my childhood. Like, there's stuff that has happened that I never healed from, I never dealt with, and it was the perfect storm. But I will say, I went back. I left, I went back, and left, I went back, and I finally left for the last time. But the first time he raised his voice at me, and I didn't express that this is not okay. Kind of, then snowballs. It's just understanding that where you went wrong,
right?
Because if you don't, you're just going to continue to repeat the same thing over and over again,
right?
And it's no one's fault. It's not your fault that you're being abused, of course.
No one's like, hey.
But if I don't want this to ever happen to me again, I need to take accountability for the part I played in something. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't perfect. I wasn't I never deserved it, but I fought back. But I didn't leave.
Right, you stayed, which is. But again, it's that's the hard.
That's the hard part, right?
Because that's where the mental comes in.
You're able to say it. I'm not saying I could have done anything differently. It is what it is. However, if I never want to be in one again,
now.
I know where the line is. You're not going to talk to me like that.
But you also, Cait is in a relationship now, and you knew what you wanted.
Yes.
And you knew what you didn't want.
I voiced it, which isn't something, again, I never would have done before. Everything. I've changed. It's changing what those parts of you were that kind of got you into that didn't make you say I remember thinking, this feels like home because I was used to chaos.
Right. So with that being said, how important is it to work on childhood trauma?
Oh my God.
Just in general.
You're like a little kid. When you find someone similar to your situation, because my ex reminded me of people in my life, you're if you don't heal that part of you, you're like a child going to that. You're oh, this seems familiar.
Right.
That was bound to happen no matter what, because I never healed anything. And I never knew how to say, how to stick up for myself in a way that, that I couldn't fix this person. Do you know what I'm saying? That's where the accountability holds. People aren't meant to be fixed.
Right. They're not
meant to be fixed.
Yeah.
And you can't make someone want to go to therapy. You can't change somebody. Yeah, you can't change somebody, and you can't change somebody. So that's where I hold accountability, actually. I wouldn't even say that first time I didn't leave. Where I hold accountability is thinking I can fix somebody.
I'm the same way. I mean, I've definitely gotten better, but I do still see I find myself doing certain things. I'm why? You can't fix everybody. No. And that's okay. Not everybody
let's say this, who are we to fix other people? That's
I need to fix myself, actually.
It's such running from my own stuff that I was fixing other people, and I got into situations I never should have been in. And have you worked on that childhood trauma since then? Yeah, I'm in therapy weekly. So, and I've tried different things. I am, it's hard because sometimes things come up and you don't know it's gonna come up. And you're why is this triggering me so bad? You know what I mean? But I even realized there are certain times, and I feel I've told you this, like you said, I know what I want, and so I made it clear. If somebody doesn't reassure me or in some way, I don't know how to describe it. It triggers abandonment issues, and I know what it is, right? So you identify it, and you're okay, this isn't him. He's not doing anything to me. Right. He's being him. Yeah. And I am creating going down this rabbit hole in my head, and it's that's not fair. You're then putting on somebody else. So I think the most important part is figuring out identifying that. You're never going to be perfect.
So now that example, what do you do now versus what so you used to
I stop myself. I used to act on those impulses I try my best, obviously, to stop myself and be like, what is this coming from? And that's not fair either. Because I get it, you're protecting yourself, but you're like, this person doesn't have a bad bone in their body.
It's not fair for someone else to have to take on someone else's crap. Like, not
right.
crap, but like the shit that they did.
Right.
It doesn't make them, they're not the same person.
Right.
But, however, when you are also, like you said, unhealed and you haven't worked on that, you're going to keep attracting that same thing.
Oh my God, 100%.
Over
and I was
over
last year. I'm sure I was. I was like, you know what I mean? There were certain times where I'm like, this doesn't feel right, and I still went with it because I wasn't healed.
And the best part is when she said this doesn't feel right, she was right.
Yeah. No, I know.
You knew.
Yeah. But I hadn't learned really to like follow that. Now I'm proud of myself in that way, where like even certain things now, like I speak up, and you know, as much as it would hurt to leave somebody or like not be with somebody, like that's okay, because I'm not gonna sacrifice what I want for somebody else. That's just not what it is. Like,
and that's huge.
I that's hard to get to.
It's definitely,
especially as women, I feel like.
And I think it's just like a consistent work, right? Like we have to consistently be working on this stuff. I mean, therapy is huge and so important. I feel like
but therapy
so many
is
people.
expensive, so sometimes, you know, people don't take it's hard.
So what are some other alternatives of therapy that you would think that would be helpful for someone?
I hate to say this and everybody will be like, oh, that's such a typical answer, but exercising. I just started, I've been exercising on and off for years, but the past 2 months I've been consistently working out every day, and it's a game changer.
Oh, for sure. Waking up in the morning, I am in this thing now where it's like I wake up, if I don't work out, and it could just be it could be something quick. If I'm doing a dance workout on YouTube, anything. Yeah. If I'm not moving my body, going for a walk, for some, the rest of the day, I'm just like, ugh.
You're down.
You feel it. Exercise, it's so important for your mental, and then the physical aspect that comes out of it, it's just great.
Yeah, because you become more confident in yourself.
Yeah, you're showing up, you're like, I feel great, I look great, I am great.
Yeah, I mean, that's the difference too. And I don't know what made me start it, but luckily it's been helping me. But also don't force, I guess my thing too is I think I listened to something like this the other day. It was people just say go for a walk. Walks don't do it for me. So you know what I mean?
Find what works.
Find what works. Don't people love to be like, oh well, you're not doing this.
You need to be lifting
weights.
That
doesn't work for me.
You need to be doing Pilates.
That doesn't make me excited. Yes, I have a dog, so I go on a lot of walks, but it's just not the first thing I think of to do.
Yeah.
Right? So
find what works for you.
Yeah. Understand that you see the difference between, like you said, the day that you don't do it and the day that you do it. I don't love working out, but I feel the difference.
You feel it so much. Yeah, there's some days where you're like, oh, I don't want to. Do I want to work out? But
I
I
sit on the couch and I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And then I get up and do it, and I'm like, oh, thank God I did it.
You're like, why?
But I literally put I'll be at 12:30 I'll do it. I'll be at 1 p.m. I'll do it. I'm the worst. It's not like I'm this fitness guru. I'm
Listen, you're doing it.
But I hold myself accountable at least. It's me and Sadie just sitting there.
Sadie's your accountability
partner. Judging me the whole time.
So when it comes to besides working out, your mental health, everything, do you think having an accountability partner, person, friend, family, is it helpful?
I think it's helpful. I think anybody in your life should hold you accountable. It just depends on who it is, because there's some people you're either you have trauma with them, or there's certain things that you're I don't want to hear this from you. And I think it needs to be from the right people.
Yeah.
I think anybody can hold you or think they're holding you accountable. And the word accountable, people think it's what they think you did wrong, right? So it's not an act. You may not have done anything wrong, but they don't like that you slighted them or something. So they're I'm holding you accountable. That's not accountability. And I think that's where people
get it mistaken.
Yeah.
I'm more so thinking too, with business. The two of us, we're oh, we need to get together.
Yeah.
On Monday we'll work together just to make sure we stay focused, and we're
I think that's super important to have a partner in some way, or somebody has the same vision as you,
right? Especially when you're
like-minded, and also maybe the same work ethic, but also understanding of the fact of there's ADHD moments.
This conversation, I feel was right. We went around, but it's still we hit what we wanted to talk about. But this is just, by the way, our real life conversations. Yeah. We had 10 in one.
No, this is how real life conversations go with us.
Well, that's why this is real talk in my room. So.
Yeah, real talk. I think it's important. I think because if you don't have people that support you and really want to see you succeed, it's hard.
Yeah, and sometimes people will tell you things and they're just looking out for you for the best and they want to see you succeed. And sometimes it's stuff that it's like, oh, you don't want to hear it, but you needed to hear it. And then that's where it's good too. Anyone who is...
I think it needs to be from somebody, though, that is successful.
1,000%.
You never take advice from somebody that you wouldn't want to be in their position.
And also be very careful on what you're taking too, because it could be out of jealousy.
Correct.
And it could
needs to be a trusted person. Yeah, there are so many. Never take advice from somebody that you wouldn't want to live in their shoes.
And
because people love to give unsolicited advice.
Oh, they do.
That's never owned a business before in their life.
Oh, they do. And then and you're like looking at them. You're like, really? What? I'm sorry. So I feel like
you should do this. Okay. Let me know. I don't mean this in a rude way, but let me know when you own your business.
Yeah, when you do it, you come back to me.
Right, because people think it's like this like easy thing. It's like you're the accountant. You're everything.
You're wearing every hat. Like, and that's what people don't understand is having a business is just really like you're doing everything until you're able to get to the point where you can hire out and have people help you. But in the beginning, you're doing everything, and that's why a lot of people don't understand, like, oh, why are you working so much? Why can't you come here? Why can't you do this? So we're gonna wrap this up in just a minute. I do have one more thing I want to say. We're gonna have Cait on here again to talk about more business focused stuff, and then we're gonna have her on again after that, and we're gonna talk about more mental health stuff. But one thing that we were just talking about before we started this is reasonably priced. Can we all get this out of our vocabulary? Why? And like,
really
as a business owner, this is just jumping around. You said something that like kind of made me think of it, but like as a business owner, as a person, as just a human being, what is reasonably priced? Like to you, reasonably priced for a photographer might be $1,000 for the event.
It depends on your budget.
To somebody else,
we see that a lot.
Might be $200.
It's hard.
So if we could all, as like a society, just instead of saying like, hi, I'm looking for a reasonably priced server to come to my party and work 3 hours. Let's reframe or reword it and say, hi,
I don't get that a lot because I'm not.
Budget is X. And I'm looking for X.
Normally for me, it's just like, this is how much it is an hour. You have certain packages. So
right, but it's not even just like I'll say like, oh, I need a reasonably priced DJ. I need a reasonably
well, like
priced
no one knows
florist.
what reasonably priced is for you.
That's what I'm saying. Like
it's
everybody is different.
It's just funny to me when people. It's like we don't know your budget.
Right. So what's your budget? So if we could just start asking the question, my budget is X and I'm looking for X. Any recommendations?
Because I could refer somebody and they're like, no, it's too expensive.
Right, and then you're insulting that person, also their work too, because they're as a business owner too. It's just it's the confidence in like getting your pricing and everything. It's hard, and people don't realize that. So I'm excited to talk to you again next time about business and all the fun stuff. But in the meantime, can you tell everybody where they can find you, where they can connect with you? All the good stuff.
Well, my Instagram name, it's Cait's _crew.
How do you spell Cait?
CAIT.
So they can find you on Instagram at Cait's Crew, and if they want to work with you, book you for any events, where can you service?
Link in the bio.
Yeah, and so do you, like, if anyone is in Monmouth County, Ocean County, do you service all of New Jersey?
All of New Jersey, New York, PA, obviously, like, if it's further, it would just be a travel fee, but other than that, I'll go, I'm excited I've gotten all the way up to North Jersey. Yeah. I've gone to Staten Island,
You've been all around.
Yeah.
Everybody is loving Cait's Crew, and you definitely need her at your next event, literally anything that you're having. Wedding, you need kids. Yeah, you need someone to watch your kids. She's your go-to girl. Her and her staff are amazing, but Cait, I know you're super busy, so thank you for taking the time to come and chat with me today. And we will talk soon.
All right.
Bye, everybody.